It was Sunday, it's March, it's the NBA, big games, crazy games, weird performances. Oh yeah, did you know that DeAndre Jordan almost played 40 minutes? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I just got back from receiving my MVP trophy from Matthew Dellavedova. About time the selfish prick gave it back to me. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Also, check out lockedondaily.com and sign up newsletters, favorite team. It's all there, all the best info that you want. Smack bang in your box 5 days a week. Have you got a thumb that I can take? I'll take one. I'll take a subscribe. I'll take a comment as well. We are here to talk about Sunday's action on National Cocktail Day. Sunday, March the 23rd, it is. We're recapping March 23rd. It's Cocktail Day is the 24th. Of course it is. We all knew that. What's your favorite cocktail? I'm not a cocktail guy usually. Not a big cocktail guy. Just give me something straight up. Or, what do I get? Margarita? Yep. Old fashioned? Yeah. That's probably about it, really. Not a cocktail guy. I like the inventiveness of them. I like making them. But I'm not a big cocktail drinker, so to speak. Sure you care. Should we do some news? Because there is some injury updates that we need to know about. Because Domantas Sabonis is apparently maybe coming back already, somehow. He's been upgraded already to questionable for Monday's game. They've got a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. It would be pretty unlikely to me that he plays in both of those games. But is he really going to come back after... when did he get hurt? Last Monday. He's going to be back within a week. Seems incredibly fast. We hope that it's nothing that pushes too far, but I don't have as much of a problem with coming back from an ankle sprain versus like a hamstring strain. Muscles and tendons and that sort of stuff are way more worrisome to me than ankle ligaments in terms of coming back to... still a worry. Absolutely still a worry. But yeah, it looks like he's coming back. So any discussion we had of, is it going to be a Trey Lyles game? Is it going to be a Valanciunas game? Don't worry about it. Because even if he doesn't play on Monday against Boston, which of course is not a Valanciunas game, he probably plays on Tuesday against the Thunder. So the value that you might have from Trey Lyles or Valanciunas might just be nothing. Because literally, one of those guys might play 0 minutes. Lyles was out of the rotation once Valanciunas arrived. One of those guys might play 0 minutes in either Monday or Tuesday or both. So there is a chance. Like if we get word on Sabonis, we can do what we need to do there. But that longer-term value is non-existent. Looks like Anthony Davis is going to return soon as well. They've got a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. He's not playing on Monday. He's doubtful for that one. He could play on Tuesday, then the next game's Thursday. That's going to impact things. Obviously, it will have an impact on Kai Jones. But what I think will happen is last game we got 19 minutes of Dwight Powell. They'll disappear. And I think Jones will actually stay in the rotation as even a 22-minute-a-night player. It'll impact the shot attempts of guys like Najee Marshall and Spencer Dinwiddie. Be some trickle-down effects. I still would hold on to Marshall. Dinwiddie becomes iffy, and then we'll see what happens with Jones there. We also got word that Steph Curry is maybe returning. This one I'm not as certain about. It's a pelvic contusion, I know that, and they said he's coming back early in the road trip. He's missed one game. He's almost certainly not going to play on Tuesday. And then the next game is Friday. I don't think that I honestly think he's out on Tuesday. And then we get to that situation where the tough decision, it's Steph, right? He's awesome. But if this is your final matchup of the week, and you don't have an IL ability to have Steph, if he doesn't play Monday, doesn't play Tuesday, doesn't play Wednesday, doesn't play Thursday, and then there's doubt on Friday, that does make it a tough hold. For as good as Steph is, there is a chance he plays one game this week. He probably plays two. But you have to wait 4 days to get to the first one. For some of you, it's an easy hold. For others, it's a drop. It just is going to depend. And how desperate your matchup is. Can you risk it? There are a lot of calculations that you have to go through internally to make that call. But I wouldn't just be like, well, it's Steph, of course I'm holding. Because again, if you get one game out of him, absolutely useless. It's completely pointless to get one game out of Steph. and 2 games out of him that might be limited, probably not worth it either. But that's, again, and you have to wait 4 days to even find out that he's going to play. Sometimes you just have to pull the pin. I wasn't expecting Damian Lillard to be out again, but he is. So, yeah. And one of those games, it was all Ryan Rollins, and then Kevin Porter Jr. Stole the minutes the second game, and he went into a bigger role. And so what am I going to do in this one? I don't know. Porter is the better fantasy player, but he's still not good, and he requires 30 minutes, and he's going to be inefficient. So roll the dice, but honestly, you're guessing. Like, you are guessing because you don't know. Rollins one game, Porter the next. You can chase Porter. You can go back to... I don't know what'll happen. I just know that he's out. And you're going to get probably big minutes out of Gaz Trent as well, who saw a boost in the last game. And then Nikola Jokic is out again. He missed today. They said it's unlikely he plays on Monday. Very unlikely. And we're going to talk about the Nuggets in the Nuggets game in the recap today. But yeah, another one of those things where you go, bloody hell, really? This time of year we're getting this stuff happen? I guess we are. Let's talk games. First game. Pelicans. Pistons. The Pistons 136. The Pelicans 130. Good win for Detroit without a couple of important players. We'll talk Pelicans first. Yves Missi was out of this one. Zion was out as well. But Carlo Makovic is the guy that stepped into the starting lineup, and this is a perfect opportunity. No Zion, no Missi, so Carlo should be able to cook. But he played 16 minutes because he had foul trouble. Did he even... I think he might have fouled out. Let me check. Yeah, he fouled out. 8 points, 11 rebounds. Not a good game. And you know what? When you play playoffs with 1 week matchups, you can follow your process as best as you can. But something like this can kick so hard that what do you do about it? It can't be corrected through volume. You said, this is a great... I'm trying Makovic. It's great. It makes complete sense. He's starting at center. There's no Missi. There's no Zion. Let's go. And then he fouls out in 16 minutes. It happens, man. Like, there's not a lot you can do about that. And now we see what happens tomorrow. Does CJ play? Does Brown play? Does Olynyk play? Does Zion play? Does Missi play? We could get 35 minutes of Makovic tomorrow. We could get 12. I don't know. It's really tough. Jordy Hawkins, he did his thing. Remember what Jordan Hawkins does. He had 25 points in 31 minutes. He hit 6 threes. And he doesn't do anything else. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. He needed to shoot 62% to get there. And Zion could be back in the next game, but Brown and McCollum might be out. He is worth using for points and threes, Hawkins, and that's it. Alvarado, he was fine, 10, 4, and 8 with 2 steals. That's usable. Now, I would continue using him in 12s. And the one who really popped off here is Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. 13, 6, and 8. That's a very good game. He played 32 minutes. But of course, we know why. Zion was out. Missi was out. Makovic fouled out. So, yeah, not a repeatable thing, I don't think. I don't think those things are happening every game. But it was a good game from Robinson-Earl. If you're in a deeper league, if you're one of the old double onyx, diamond, titanium, platinum legends, you might want to cast your eye towards a man by the name of Keon Brooks Jr. It's a real player. He's on this team. He's been on the team for a month or so now. And he is getting minutes over Antonio Reeves. Am I excited by 5 points in 21 minutes? No, I'm very much not. But what if all of these guys sit again? You got to be aware of the name. Probably not available on ESPN. You got to be aware of the name. He's ahead of Reeves. He's ahead of Kane. So Keon Brooks Jr., deeper leagues, just keep it in your mind. Not a bad Olynyk game, 10, 5, and 8 with 2 blocks. I hope he doesn't sit tomorrow, but he could. But we're rostering him at this point. The Pistons side of things, we've seen it many times. When the schedule overloads, they do try to be very cautious with Cade Cunningham. So he sat in this game. I'm not worried that it's a long-term thing. But I also said the same thing with Dame. Now he's missed 3 in a row. They're calling it bilateral calf soreness. Just a rest. Fine. Hardaway, going to be out for weeks. So on the streaming show, I put Dennis Schroeder on the front cover saying, hey, he's going to get good run here. I didn't expect that Cade was going to be out, but it worked out perfectly. 16, 1, and 5 with 2 steals. Now, he shot horribly. He's not a very good player. But with Hardaway out, Schroeder is actually worth considering in 12s. Leaky Beasley started. He had 13 with 4 threes, like whatever. He doesn't really seem to do very much different, and I am still of the opinion that he's not 100% a must-roster guy. He might be, because if you've got him, you probably just need the points and threes, so that's why you have him anyway. But just pay attention. The other outlier here is Marcus Sasser. 20 points, 3 threes. Much like when I talked earlier about, Jordan Hawkins, this man got by because he shot 67% from the field, and he got the extra minutes because Cade was out. Look at that and go, shout out to you, my guy. I'll be ignoring that as we move forward. Same way that I'm ignoring rugged Ronnie Holland, who played 36 minutes and scored 26 points. 26, 5, and 6. Now, I know, or not I know, of course I know, you might know that I was pretty high on Holland in this class, which I consider weak. I wouldn't have had Holland as a top 7 player in most draft classes, but I had him at, what the hell did I have him at? 2 or 3. I had him very high, right? Very high. Just because I believe in the athleticism, some of the rebounding. I believe there is something in the shooting, on the defensive skills, and some passing. But we haven't obviously seen it on this team. It hasn't really shown much this season. We finally got it today. But 71% is not a real number. He's not going to continue to do that. But I like the flashes. It's just one to keep in mind and go, okay. There is a little something there. It's going to be hard to break through that. He also needed a few things to go his way, like Asar Thompson playing 9 minutes because he had 4 fouls. I don't, as much as we love Asar Thompson, you can't really roster him.
Get that garbage out of here.
He gets these sort of games. He gets the games where he plays 22 minutes. The lack of shooting hurts him. He just doesn't do enough, often enough, to be considered a must. And I know that's considered sad, but I don't think there's an argument about it. We've got more games to talk about. Before we get there, though, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. When you check your bank account, you'll often sit there and one of the phrases that comes out of your mouth, or maybe you even say it to yourself, you go, where'd it go? Where's the money? Where is my money? I can't do it. Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, the money just flits away. And unless you got it under control, well, it can be very easy to lose control of that spending. Monarch Money is your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. But it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, and all of your spending all in one place. So you're not just managing your money, you are actually building wealth. You realize how much you spend on certain things by tracking it through Monarch Money. You go, maybe cut that down or save money here or divert this here, do all that sort of stuff, which again can be difficult when you've got to open multiple apps to check everything going on. Put it all into one place and take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. That can bring us into talking about the second game of the day, which was, of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Utah Jazz. And it went about the same way that you would have expected it to go, with the Cavs just cooking them. What was the score? 120-91 is your final score here. We'll talk about the Cavs. They were able to roll in with the same starting lineup. And honestly, I don't think we take anything out of it. What do we take away here? They kept the minutes down. We got limited DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, and Ty Jerome performances. Everything remains the same about what I've said for those guys for multiple weeks in a row. They're not must-roster players. One thing I will be, again, very, very stringent on when talking about stuff. Well, actually, let's talk about Donovan Mitchell, because what's going on with this guy? He cannot shoot at all. He did have 16 points, but bad from the field, bad from the line. It's been a horrible run. What a disgustingly bad run these last few weeks have been. Again, it's not an indication of who he is as a player, but it's been absolutely terrible, the production we've got out of Donovan Mitchell lately, and we just hope that they can turn it around. But again, not a huge takeaway here. But one thing I do want to mention, like Jarrett Allen was very good. 18, 6 and 4. Stealing the block. That's good. Jarrett Allen is now the 10th ranked player in totals for the season for 9 cat leagues. 10th. That's fine. You look at that. You know that I've got a million issues with those sort of rankings and using totals. It gives you absolutely zero indication of the actual impact that this man has had. He's averaged 13.5 points, no threes, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.9 blocks. He shot 69 from the field and 74 from the line. And I will do a whole show pointing out the things that you can't trip over when looking at season rankings. But you can't tell me that a guy who has like 1 or 2 positive categories, field goal percentage and rebounds, is the 10th best player this season. Because he just very clearly is not. And even putting that number onto him gives you absolutely no information about A, what happened during the season, or B, what we can do with it moving forward. I would say it's been a pretty disappointing season for him. Those numbers I was reading out weren't even the correct numbers, my bad. I was reading what my projections for him were. He's averaged 13 and 10 with 2 assists, a steal, and a block on 70 and 73, which again, they're the same. The numbers are the same. Regardless, same thing. But what does that tell you? Just be aware if you read numbers or if someone cites numbers or uses them in an argument or a discussion or whatever, Be very cautious about what they mean and don't just parrot them back, because you will confuse yourself into thinking that value is there that isn't. Now let's talk about the Jazz side of this. It's a little bit more interesting. They brought Kyle Filipowski into the starting lineup instead of Svi Mykhailiuk. Lauri Markkanen's been out each of the last 2 games, so that should give you an indicator of just how untrustworthy the playing time is for Filipowski, because again, like, it didn't matter. Like, nobody extra was out in this game. We just got Filipowski starting. Now, he was very good in this game, Kyle. He had 18 and 13 with 4 threes. But I think in a 14-team league, you're happy with the ups and downs to have him as a must roster. But if he's a 23-minute-a-night player, some nights 30, some nights 18, that's just not good enough for 12s. And I think that same idea should extend to Clarkson and to George and to Sexton and to Collier, whose minutes actually are pretty secure, but his production's not that good. You can consider those options. Like, Sexton played, 36 the game before? And he was really good. But what did he have here? 10 points, no rebounds in 26 minutes. That's not going to cut it. And given the uncertainty game by game, and they play a bunch of good opponents this week, including Cleveland, how do I feel good about the way that the minutes are going to be distributed here? John Collins isn't coming back. Markkanen, I've got no idea if he's going to be in or out. And then even then, it doesn't really even seem to matter. It's complete sort of guesswork in terms of how the minutes are going to go or how the production's going to go. And in a lot of cases, you just don't want to secure those guys on your roster and go, yeah, we're good, we're cooking here. Like Filipowski, Collier, Clarkson, Sensible, George, Sexton. Not worth it. The only guy I consider is Kessler, and his game is completely changed. We know the Jazz want to lose games, that's true. I don't think Walker Kessler shooting threes, which you can say that's a sneaky way to tank. I actually do legitimately believe, hey, we don't actually care if we win. We want to lose here. But if you could work a 3-point shot into your game, that actually opens up a ton for us. So go for it. If these games mattered, I wouldn't want you doing it until you had it perfected, but they'd be saying, try it. Let's see what happens. He shot 25% from the field and missed all 4 of his free throws. The 13 rebounds for Kessler are great. The 3 blocks are fantastic. But those days, for the rest of this season anyway, of 67% field goals are done. He's just going to keep bombing threes. He's going to hit them at probably sub 20%. And they are trying to see if that can happen. And it might not. But that is what you want to do at this time. You want to experiment. You want to try. You want to see what you've got. Because then that influences what decisions you make in the offseason. So it's annoying, I know, that you've relied upon Walker Kessler for field goals. But I don't really think there's any way to really criticize the Jazz. Because I don't think it's just like, hey, go out there and just do dumb shit because it makes us lose. They're very happy with the loss, don't get me wrong. But I think there is a legitimate utility in them trying that out with Kessler to see, hey, maybe you can do it. Maybe that's possible. Maybe. I don't know. It is worth having a look at, I think. Let's go to the next game, Charlotte and the Miami Heat. The Hornets, they don't win, which is not a shock. 122-105. They brought a lot of guys back in this game, though. LaMelo Ball returned from the 1-game absence. Mark Williams returned. And then we also got Nick Smith Jr. jumping back into the starting lineup with Josh Green out. LaMelo was good. 18, 3, 11, 2 threes, and bad field goals. That's the standard LaMelo. Mark Williams, 14 and 5 with 3 blocks on 86%. That's pretty good. Miles Bridges, 17 and 13 in 34 minutes. I don't know what more you could ask for. What we do know now is that we got that unbelievable stream out of Daquan Jeffries, and then he had 7 points in 23 minutes. Thank you for your service, King. You can go back to the waiver wire. We don't need to care. Do we need to care about what Nick Smith did? I hope not. 19 points with 5 threes in 38 minutes is undeniably good. But it required Nick Smith having the time of his life and the best performance you'll ever see from him, and that meant shooting 50%. So, no, I'm not going to overreact to that. It's a points and threes type stream with not much more. What is interesting to me is that Tijan Salan, who'd been in the G League and then dealing with an ankle problem, came back and played 25 minutes. Okay, we are 100% not adding Tijan Salan, but 7 and 5 with a steal and a 3. Just watch that, because I think we will have a period where we go, oh, do we stream Tijan here? I think it'll happen. You're not holding Diabate. You're not holding Nurkic, who played 15 minutes. Interestingly, KJ Simpson, who had been barely playing, started last game and then moved to the bench here. He still got 22 minutes off the bench. And we had no Wendell Moore. We had no Damian Bohr. We had no Marcus Garrett, whose 10 days about to expire, I'm pretty sure. So they went to Simpson. So there's going to be a lot of rotation through those back-end bench players, would be my guess. Let's talk about the Miami side of this because it's not a surprise to anybody. And Spoelstra, again, I've said this a lot, but he's getting very reactive with his coaching decisions. You see one game where Jaime Jaquez struggles and the minutes drop and you go, well, he's not playing in the next one. And then he barely played here. He played 6 minutes. He got benched. And the 6 minutes he played were like 5 minutes in the first half and then didn't play in the second half until garbage time. So he's getting Highsmithed. We're obviously not rostering Jaquez, but that's what happened. And they moved Duncan Robinson back into the starting lineup. But don't be shocked if it's Davion Mitchell the next game. Robinson had 3 points while Mitchell played 36. And Davion had 12, 3, and 7 with 2 steals. If we got this every game from Davion Mitchell, we're laughing. That's a 12-team guy. But almost literally every game, there is a change to the rotation. Almost every game. Khalil Ware got another start. Not quite as successful as the other ones, but 12 and 8, 5 assists and a block. He's going to do the work. And his ability, his upside is fantastic. And his per minute production is great. So while this is happening, we roll with it. It's just going to be a risky proposition. Andy Wiggins was unbelievable. 42 points, 5 assists, 3 steals and a block. The bad free throws are annoying, but the great field goals, we love that. These are some very good numbers from him. While Hero had 29 and 6 and Bam, 11 points on 40%, man. That's the early season Bam that we were getting. He's been really good lately. That's just a poor performance. Well, we got 36 Hayward Highsmith minutes. And you know how much I trust that? Not for a single second. He did have 1 steal and 2 blocks. I will never consider that anything close to remotely near an ad. Like, not close. There's no guarantee of his minutes game by game. And that is the Miami Heat way. But at least they won. At least they won. We've got a few more games to talk about, including this next one, which, this one really frustrated me. We'll talk about it. It's the Spurs and the Raptors. The Spurs, you know why it frustrated me? Because I talked on my waiver wire show earlier today and went, hey, Jeremy Sohan, 35 minutes a night. They're starting him. Imagine the Spurs go, Jeremy, top 10 pick. It's year three for you. We've put you in the starting lineup. Let's put Bismack Biyombo out there. Which, of course, is exactly what they did. Why would they do that? That's a really good question. CTE? I don't know. I don't know. So Sohan went to the bench and he barely played. He played 20 minutes. He had 9 and 5. He had 2 steals and a block, so that's still cooking. That's good. But that's that. I don't know why we would go back to Biyombo, who played 23 minutes, which is more than Sohan. But, again, this is very important. The Spurs, halfway through the third quarter, they just said, oh, we're done. Game's over. And they just benched everybody. They just played reserves, and that is where Biyombo got the minutes. He was able to play and get those extra minutes. So the 20 minutes from Sohan does not mean he plays 20. Steph Castle played 19 minutes and 50 seconds. He had 15 points. He went 8 of 10 from the line. He only had 1 assist after double digits the last game, but he didn't come back in. The only guy who was able to sort of maintain a level of production, that's just because he played, honestly, like all of the third quarter, is Devin Vassell, who, remember there was that period where people were like, man, do we need to drop him? This guy's going as like a top 30 player over the last 2 weeks. 25 and 6, 3 assists, 2 steals and a block on 79%, an unbelievable run. But it's almost impossible to read too much into this. Keldon Johnson was very Keldon. He had 7 points on 20%. He didn't do anything else. He remains a points league guy versus a category league guy. And Mamakalishvili had 13 points in 16 minutes, but I'm not trusting that in anything outside of deeper formats. I will say this again, though. Keep an eye on Blake Wesley. You are going to use him at some point. He played 26 minutes. He had 8 points, 4 assists, 3 steals. There are going to be some games that Chris Paul does not play, and Wesley's going to get 30 minutes, and you're going to go, what do we do here? And then you're going to need, I need Chris Paul to be out confirmed for a week here before I use him. But we'll just watch him. I think there's something that we might get out of it. 20 points from Julian Champagny as well. 4 threes, 3 steals, and a block. This is just Toronto-coded stuff. Don't worry too much about that level of production. It's a weird game. The weirdness on the Toronto side is going to get even worse as the week goes on because of the craptastic number or the craptastic level of the opponents. There was no Quickly or Pirtle in this game. Ingram is being reevaluated in 10 days. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he is. He's not coming back. Still got no Dick, and Jared Roden was out, and AJ Lawson was out. So Scotty Barnes continues to play. He had 22, 6 and 6, 2 steals and a block. Played a lot of the game. That's cool because they were getting cooked. But I don't know how we trust anything here. Colin Castleton played 24 minutes. He had 4 and 4. He had 2 steals and a block. He's 10-day runs till tomorrow. He can play tomorrow. Orlando Robinson, he did play. I got that part right. But 23 minutes, 5 and 6. Not very good. I can't trust Castleton. I can't trust Robinson. I'm definitely not trusting Abaji, who had 2 points. I'm not trusting Battle. I'm not trusting Walter. Mobo went to the bench, but he played 27 minutes and had 6 and 10. That's fine. And Jamal Shed, 17, 2 and 6 and a steal. I love that. And if I knew that Quickly was out, I'd be very happy. Oh, except there are other games where Shed has started with Quickly out and then they benched him because he was playing too well. All right, so it's just one of those ones where these are bad players on a team that is one of the worst proponents, executors of tanking in the NBA this season. The lineups are all over the shop, and we are going to be seeing more of this. And there's just really no trust here. They currently are sitting in the 7th seed. They're not moving any lower than that in the lottery. They're 7th. Miami is 8th. They are not moving any lower than that. There are 6 wins between those two teams. The thing is that Philadelphia is 1 game ahead of Toronto, and Brooklyn is 1 game ahead of Toronto. Philadelphia is going to lose out here. And Philadelphia's almost got no shot of jumping into the top 4. Almost no shot. They're 4.5 games behind the Pelicans. That's just not going to happen. But they need to keep losing to hold that 5th spot. Toronto, I think, is going to keep wanting to lose, and it's going to be hard against these bad teams. But they want to jump over Brooklyn to move into that 5-6 tiebreaker with Philadelphia. I'm not actually sure who has the tiebreaker between those two teams. But they can jump in there. So just expect absolute nonsense from Toronto this season. Absolute nonsense. If we get into a spot where they cannot jump it, they won't jump ahead of Philly, even though it's only 1. Oh, they might actually. It's only 1 game. They want to get themselves out ahead of Brooklyn into the lottery odds. That is what they want to do, and it's 1 game the difference at the moment. And there is a game on Sunday, Philadelphia-Toronto, that is going to be very, very, very disgusting. It's low-key because it's not the top 2 seeds, but that will almost decide who's able to get that 5 or 6 spot. That next Sunday, Philadelphia-Toronto, the Nick Nurse Bowl, it's get your self-branded hats out. It's going to be disgusting. It is going to be disgusting. I realized that I didn't put the box score for Toronto up there. Sorry, it's been a long season. Apologies for that. But like when we're looking at these numbers, guys, I'll leave it up there and I'll just talk a little bit over the top here. It's very, very, very difficult to sit here and feel confident about any of these Raptors guys. Even Quickleys and Barretts and Pirtles. Holding them, I don't think it's going to really work out because I just don't think they're going to play enough. And their replacements are so up and down that you're just always at risk of something bad happening. Just always at risk. And that is difficult because there are options there. It's just so uncertain all the time. Let's talk about the next team, the Boston Celtics and the Portland Trail Blazers. Payton Pritchard got a bit of a random start. He doesn't normally start games, but he moved into the starting lineup with Drew Holiday out. Slam and Sammy Hauser started with Kristaps Porzingis out, and they play again tomorrow. So Porzingis should be back and Holiday should be back, but Horford might be out, Brown might be out, Tatum might be out. Let's talk about the Boston side of this. Pritchard had a million fouls early on, then came back in. He had 16, 4, and 5, but he didn't start the second half. It was Baylor Shireman, and I think the final week of this season, we're going to be having a discussion about, hey, should we stream in Baylor Shireman? He had 6 points, he had 2 threes, 5. It's not exciting, but I think there'll be a moment this season where we do talk about Shireman for standard leagues. Tatum played 37 minutes, which to me indicates that he might not play tomorrow. 30 and 9 with 9 assists. Sam Hauser had his explosion, 24 with 8 threes. Shot 73%. Probably won't do that again, but the opportunity will be there tomorrow. While Horford had 14 and 6 and he'll be out. Pritchard, like I said, had the 16 points. JD Davison had to play because of the early foul trouble. And now we just need to see who actually plays for Boston tomorrow as they prepare themselves heading into the playoffs and making sure their older guys and banged up guys get the appropriate rest and recuperation that they need. The Portland side. We talked about this on the waiver wire show, how people were adding Dwop Reith, and I said, this feels like a disgustingly bad ad. I don't know why you would chase that. Well, we'll start with Reith because he had 6 points in 17 minutes because Donovan Clingan returned. Now, that will transition us into talking about whether Donovan Clingan returning was actually useful for us because it very clearly wasn't. He had 4, 1, and 1. He has been solid enough. Solid enough. Is that enough for you to care? I don't know. I know it is very easy to sit and anoint rookies is great. And I want everyone to always be clear of this. If I say that someone like Donovan McClingan is not good, it is because he is not good. Does that mean that he might become good or might not become? I don't know. I'm just telling you at the moment, he is not good. He is not a good player currently in the NBA at the moment. And they went small, battling against Boston Al Horford, and he got played off the floor. They have a bad schedule with only 3 games this week. I don't think that Portland is going to run into this same problem every game. But I also understand, like, his production is not good enough to justify a hold-in under all circumstances. If you don't want to, don't do it. He's not a high-upside player. And if there's risk of this, then don't worry about it. You're obviously not holding Scoot Henderson, who's fallen back out of favor, 9 points on 20%. And again, the questions will always come when you see a big game from a Delano Banton. Ooh, that reminds me, last season, he was great. Should we add him? No, because it's always about context. And Simons missed the last game, and he returned here, and we didn't get anything from Banton. The guy that replaced Klingon in the closing group was Matisse Thybulle. Thybulle played 19 minutes. He had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. And if you're looking for steals and blocks, he's going to be useful. Tamani Kamara just filled it up, 19 and 7, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Shaden Sharp was also really good. He's had his ups and downs, clearly. For as good as you might think he's been, he's 127th over the last 2 weeks. That's not very good. But this is a good performance, 23, 6, and 4. And finally, we had a poor shooting night from Denny Avdia, 38% from the field. But he played 39 minutes. He played a lot of center. He had 17 and 11. He is getting these opportunities with guys out. Jeremy Grant's out. DeAndre Ayton was out. Simons was out the last game. It's been very good from Avdia. He is one of those guys that I know I'm going to just have fights with people about, him and Josh Giddey, for the numbers they're putting up right now, when I'm going to be very skeptical of how that translates through to next season. I already know that they're going to be the 2 guys that I fight against. There's been other ones that I've fought against and probably been wrong on, and guys that I've fought against and been right on. Mikal Bridges is one of those ones that I've definitely been right on fighting against it. But we'll see where that all goes. But this is a team that's sort of hovering around. I don't think they're going to get anywhere in the playoffs, but they are just sort of hovering around at this point. Let's go on to the next game here. We're talking Philadelphia and the Atlanta Hawks. The Sixers are, like I said, they are going to be absolutely at pains to be losing games. In this one here, this is where we talk about, like, Jared Butler had been sort of all right. Jeff Doughton had been in the G League, so of course Doughton came in, played 26 minutes, had 17, 4, and 3 with 3 steals and 2 blocks, while Butler had 8 points in 22 minutes. Now you'd look at this and go, I'll just grab Doughton now, surely. That's a great game. He will do that, but will he? Probably not. He's not good enough, and neither is Jared Butler, to be able to do that on a consistent basis. And trying to pick when it happens or how it happens, it's not easy to do. Doughton, 4 games left on his 2-way contract, by the way. O'Shea Brissett, who got hurt in this game's 10-day expires today. Chuma Okeke, who is on a 10-day, expires tomorrow after Monday's game. So there's just going to be ups and downs with all these guys. Now, Chuma played 35 minutes. He didn't do much at all. 8 and 8 with 2 threes. He's a streamy level guy only. Yabusele had 11, 7, and 3. He is not a must-roster player, and I don't think he plays tomorrow. So keep an eye out, because Alex Reese might be useful tomorrow. Alex Reese, yes. 8 points, 3 rebounds for Reese in 21 minutes. I wouldn't feel good about it. Much like I'm not going to feel good about telling you that Justin Edwards is putting up numbers. Because he is. He scored 22 points again. He played 39 minutes with 3 threes. He had 2 blocks. But what's to say that things just don't flip, and in the next game it's Ricky Council and not Edwards? It could easily happen. So I wouldn't be putting much faith in an Edwards or a Council. Grimes was at his best. Well, no, he wasn't. He was good. He wasn't at his best. But you can't trust anybody else here. Ricky Council fouled out. He had 14 points in 19 minutes. But Doughton, Edwards, Reese, Okeke, Council, Butler, Yabusele, no way to trust any of them. If we get the big fella Adem Bona back, I'd be very happy to use him. But I still don't know when he's returning. And then Lonnie Walker dealing with a concussion. A lot of these guys, it's just very stay away-ish at this stage. We'll go on to the Atlanta side of this. And Trae Young was great. Okongwu was great. Dyson Daniels not quite as good, but he had 5 steals. They're all staples. Let's talk about some of the fringy guys. The night watchman, Mohamed Ayuge. He had 6 points in 13 minutes. He needs somebody out to be useful enough for 12s. Because Karis LeVert returned. He played 28 minutes. He had 7, 3, and 7 with a 1-1. Not sure whether Karis is going to play tomorrow in the back-to-back. No idea. Not a priority must-roster to me. The guy who excelled in this one was the Trojan, Domi Barlow. 13 and 10 in 19 minutes. That's great. But we've also seen him be the primary backup all the way through here, and he's done nothing like that. So don't get over your skis on that. The back-to-back stream winner on the weekend, George Niang, 20 points with 5 threes is elite. I'm not trusting 23 minutes of George Niang to be a 12-team guy. With 3 games on, no way. Ricochet had 22 points. He shot 60%. Fantastic. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, no steals. 3 games this week. I don't trust it. I wouldn't be looking at that as a must-roster player. It's interesting enough for this spot. Vic Krejci played 30 minutes 2 games ago and then played 16 here for 5 points. Too much uncertainty with these guys. The guys you look to stream are going to be Niang, it's going to be a little bit of Gay, and it's going to be Ricochet, and that's probably the directions you go. But trusting the production of those guys, it's just not really there. And I think I can't even get words out. I think that's relatively obvious. I hope it is. Maybe it's not. The Houston Rockets, that's the wrong thing. That's better. The Houston Rockets hosted the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets win at 116-111. Russell Westbrook moved to the bench so DeAndre Jordan could start. And this highlights one of those things that I've mentioned in passing a few times this season about the ability or the way that NBA coaches are actually just using, if you're not Tom Thibodeau, they're just using their depth a lot more. They can just try and do stuff for matchups because DeAndre Jordan, even though Jokic has been out, has been DMP'd all the last 2 weeks. Hasn't played a single second. And then he moves into the starting lineup ahead of Russell Westbrook. He plays 38 minutes and he has 11 and 15, DeAndre Jordan, with 4 assists on 71% shooting. And they play again tomorrow, and Jordan might play 0 minutes in that game. Totally possible. The way that the benches, the talent level is so flat. Not that it's bad, it's just flat, the difference between guys. And Jordan's not super talented, obviously. But they can just mix and match what they want to do. Like, they play the Bulls tomorrow. Will DeAndre Jordan make more sense? Or will Aaron Gordon play? Or will he even play at all? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be rushing to add Jordan, but that's very clearly a good game. With Jordan playing more and Russell Westbrook moving to the bench, that meant Payton Watson played only 21 minutes for 2 blocks with 9 points, and Jalen Pickett, who'd been an 18 to 20 minute a night player, barely played either because Westbrook got the backup point guard minutes. I would hold Russ, but obviously if Westbrook plays in a 24 minute a night role, we don't. He had 14, 2 and 1 with 1 steal and 2 blocks, and when Jokic does return, I think this will just be Westbrook because Gordon's been so unbelievably good that he'll probably stick there. 13, 4 and 8 for Gordo in 37 minutes, but there is also a risk that he just doesn't play tomorrow. Also in a bit of a lean Christian Brown period. 11 points in 34 minutes. He still shot the ball well. He just doesn't do it enough, and there's no rebounds, assists, steals, or blocks happening. Bit of a roller coaster season from Brown. Red hot start, real dud patch. Another red hot period now into a quieter portion as well. And again, that will happen with players that is the level of talent that they have. On the Rockets side of things, some, again, interesting rotational decisions being made. They didn't make any change to their starting lineup, but they made a change into how they deployed it because we just got a lot of Şengün and Steven Adams together. 40 minutes of Şengün, 17, 14, and 10. But what about 23 minutes of Steven Adams? 14 and 12 with 3 blocks. I don't even know that Adams is going to play each night. But at the moment, when he does play, you get rebounds, you get some out-of-position assists, you get a block, and good field goal percentage. He's turning into something of a 12 or more 14-team stream guy. But with them going with that alignment, Jabari Smith valued dead. 17 minutes, 7 points. Tari Eason, at least for this game, valued dead. 4 points in 15 minutes. And the fact that Eason and Smith are now bench players means that the upside for them is significantly lower. Smith is an easy drop. Eason's a tougher one for me. I think I would like to hold for one more. But if he's a 23-minute-a-night player, Tari Eason, that is no way a must-roster player. It's just a hard call to make based on this game. VanVleet shot horribly, 17%. He had 7 points only. And then Jalen Green had 30. But he also shot horribly, 36%. I talked about it on the streaming show about Dylan Brooks, saying maybe we just need to just roster him. He had 21 points again with 5 threes. Now, he could blow up at any point, but this has been a really strong run from Brooksy. Ben Thompson, 31 minutes only. He did have some foul trouble, I think, end of the third quarter, but it just wasn't a good game. He missed all 4 of his free throws. He was bad from the field. He did have 3 blocks, 11 points, and 6 rebounds. But part of my thing with the men, when I was talking all the way through the season with those periods in the middle where he was flying, I said, I just don't think you can find 40 minutes a night for him when players return. I'm not saying that 31 is going to be what he does each night, but you already got a spot here where Eason and Smith are cut all the way down. Where does a men's playing time land here? I think it's low 30s, but that 39 level just was obviously fueled by injuries to Van Vliet at one point, and to Smith, and to Eason. And you're seeing the bit of the squish re-happen here. Not to say man's not good, but it's about the squish and it's about the upside and all that sort of value that can occur. All right, so let's do the final game. The Thunder and the Clippers. The Thunder win it 103-101 is the final score. There was no Chet in this game, no Jalen Williams in this game, but we did get the return of Lou Dort. They started Alex Caruso, though, over Aaron Wiggins. Lou Dort started in place of Chet Holmgren. So they're back to some of the stuff they did earlier in the season where they were just always seemingly going back and forward with starting lineups and nothing would ever seem secure. But whatever. Anyway, I don't think there's anything serious to worry about with Jalen Williams, with Chet. Just going to be some games off here as they're very comfortably ahead in the standings ahead of everybody. With no Chet, Hartenstein played 33. He had 14, 10, and 6 with 3 blocks. Great. Shea, 26, 3, and 8, 2 steals and a block. Unfortunately, which may have been Championship Sunday for you, he shot 24% on 29 attempts. That is legitimately a killer. What about the big fella, Pig Williams? 12-7 with 3 threes in 15 minutes. That's fine. A lot of people did add Jalen Williams today. In the end, that result is good. 15 minutes is not enough. I'm not sure why he was a highly added player, but whatever. A very good Alex Caruso game. In fact, we got 31 minutes out of Caruso, which makes it infuriating that he's never been near that all season. He had 14, 6, and 5 with 2 steals, while Casey Wallace had 8, 4, and 2, and 2 steals. Those are good numbers. But remember, there is no Jalen Williams here. There is no Chet Holmgren. And I think you're just going to have to be going sort of back and forward on this team and seeing who's in and out and who we stream. Like, it was a good Aaron Wiggins game for 19 points, but then nothing else. And the 19 points looks great, but it's a way worse game than Caruso. It's probably a worse game than what Wallace did. It's probably worse than Lou Dort, who had 10, 4, and 2 with a steal and a block. And they're just all going to be in that streaming area. Dort, Wallace, Caruso, Wiggins. Joe's value dropped way off. He missed all 4 of his shots. Pig Williams was okay. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts and pieces here. But nothing that looks like it's going to solidify itself as a must-grab sort of a guy. If we talk about the Clippers, which we will because that's what we do, we'll go on to their side of the equation. The Clippers lineup was the same. Kawhi played 40 minutes. He had 25 and 10, steal and a block. Zubats, 15, 11, 2 blocks. We know that those guys are good. Jim Harden, not good shooting, 29%. Yuck. But the other stuff is fine. But what we wanted to check was what happens with Powell? What happens with Dunn? What happens with Bogdanovic? And the answer is, all right, this is the answer. Bogdanovic played 20 minutes and he had 2 points with 2 steals and a block. That's not 12 team. Chris Dunn, 7 and 3 with a steal, not 12. These are 14 to 16 team league guys. Derek Jones, 9 and 5 with 3 blocks. The 3 blocks saves it. He got the minutes here. But what you can tell is that sometimes it's going to be Dunn. Sometimes it'll be Jones. Sometimes it might be Bogdanovic, meaning that you're just taking flyers on these guys and never relying upon it. Norman Powell becomes the interesting one because obviously he was the hot player to begin the season, shooting out of his brain, being the number 1 usage player. I had a lot of skepticism about it returning, and he remains that same guy. So he does nothing else apart from score. All he was doing was scoring at elite efficiency, and now the efficiency's not there. It will come back, but the efficiency is not there. The usage is down. The minutes are down. He had 9, 4, and 1, Norman Powell, which is very clearly not good. Right? We know that. The question you're going to have is, do I even bother with Norman Powell? And here is why you might not. They don't play Monday or Tuesday. They have 3 games this week. You can do a lot more with that spot than an iffy, lower usage, cold streak shooting Norman Powell. It might sound ridiculous. You grabbed him late in the draft. He was a top 40 player for a period of time. He's not that now. And the circumstances have all changed. It is tough to do. And as I talked about on the waiver wire and the streaming show earlier today, look at your bottom 3 players. Who are your worst 3 or 4 players? Look which one of those guys play 3 games. And if Norman Powell is one of your worst 3 players, and he does play 3 games, you can probably just move on. You can just move on. And I know that the response will be, well, my opponent will just grab him. Okay. That's cool. But that means your opponent might have to suffer through these games, and it clogs one of their roster spots. Which, in the end, not a bad result, is it? Not a bad result at all, if they do clog it up. All right. let's do some lines of the night. I don't think there's much more to talk about in that game. I realized that I didn't even mention earlier on that CJ McCollum had 40 points. So that was not deliberate. I was just talking about other things on that team. He had 40 with 7 assists. The biggest roller coaster in the world, this guy. It is out of control how up. And even in this game, he went 60% from the line, shooting 57% from the field. You cannot rely upon him at all. And now he's not going to play on Monday, most likely. It's very tough. It's very tough to deal with these ups and downs with CJ. That's a great game. But man, you never know what you're going to get. Now let's go do the lines of the night. The monstrous line of the night, we're going to go to Miami. I'm going to go to Andrew Wiggins, who has 42 points with 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. The waiver wire line of the night, the best performer, the under-rostered best performer of the day. We're going with Julian in San Antonio. Julian Champagny, 20 points. He had 3 steals, he had a block. Very hard to read a lot into that game in general, though. The young gun of the night, the best first or second year performer of the day, it's Toumani Camara, 19-7, 3 assists, 2 steals and 2 blocks, an unbelievable run. His Sundays have been so high. They've been so good. I don't know what's so good about him. But his teammate, unfortunately, gets the dud of the night. Donnie Klingon, 4 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. That stinks. Debatable if you hold him or not, given the schedule and given his up and down production, but you can make arguments on that either way. That is the end of National Cocktail Day's recap show. You can go ahead and hit the old subscribe button for me. That would be much appreciated. And then we lock in for another week of waiver wires and streaming and recap shows and double banging and hopefully some jokes and some fun. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.